A request too, if you saw that. I just sent it to record it.
Oh, sorry. I don't know where to see that at.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, we're recording, so I'll send it to you. All right, guys, I am so excited. We have Barbara Boser here with us tonight, and Barbara and I met at Dash last summer, or last fall, I guess. They paired us up with a mentor, so somebody that was an alumni to going to Dash, which is top 75 income earners in the company, and she was my mentor. So we got to know each other, and it was so much fun. So I'm so excited to have her on with us tonight. And then do you have some people from your team on here too, Barbara?
Yeah, I wanted to welcome my team too. I actually merge this with our team calls. Normally we do our team call Tuesday night, so I told everybody to hop on this instead because I'm super excited to have my team hear from you. I was so impressed with you and Jeremiah last year when we met, with your story, and I was asking you, so how did you get to where you're at so fast? What are your your tips? And I think that we have really different stories, and I think that it's kind of good to hear, how opposites kind of ended up in the same spot. So I'm excited to share my story with your team, and I'm excited for my team to hear yours.
Awesome. Well, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara, if you just want to start off and kind of tell us your story, and we can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. So my name is Barbara Boser. I am from Los Angeles, California, and I've been with It Works since March of 2009. So that is about 7.5 years right now. Never in a million trillion years would I have ever expected in my life to be where I'm at today, doing what I do every day, and not just doing what I do, but loving what I do. So,
Barbara, I'm gonna mute the call real quick. Hey guys, make sure you're keeping your lines muted.
Okay. I would have imagined that I would be in this role in my life, loving what I do. I was introduced to It Works by my best friend. She sent me a text. And basically that text said, come over, I have to wrap you. And I'm like, what? And she's my best friend, so I pretty much supported her in anything she did. And I went over there and let her wrap me with no intention whatsoever to do this as a business. But I had an amazing result after using one wrap, and I wanted more. So she signed me up as a distributor that night. I didn't really know much other than she needed to kind of fill a box or something. I had never done network marketing before. I had a job, actually. I had a job that I really liked at that time and had no intentions of not working. But I signed up to help her, and I saw great results. So I had some warm market people interested because they saw me, and I lost a dress size after using one wrap. So it was noticeable for me. So I got my first few customers just by people noticing, like, what are you doing? And then it came with, our websites. I started building my business through social media. I made a blog. I started posting on Facebook, Twitter. Instagram wasn't around back then. Started doing some stuff on, Google and things like that. And I started getting, some sales, some questions, interest, but still, I just thought it was kind of this weird thing that would go away. And while I was kind of, happy for that extra income, because we had two, teenage kids. My daughter was just a couple years from starting college. The extra income was great, but my mentality when I started was that this was not real. That it was, nobody really made money doing stuff like this, and I'm just going to kind of take it for, whatever it's bringing in right now, cool, but I'm not going to put anything really extra into it. So we continued working. What we did, we worked at an internet marketing agency, and they were on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast. So my day started early. By 7 a.m., I was usually on a conference call. I took care of clients on that, and I would work gosh, almost like until 6 o'clock Pacific time. So I worked really long hours, but I liked what I did. So that, that was fine. So meanwhile, this It Works thing is kind of building up. And about 2.5 years in, I decided I better kind of start to figure out what's happening here with It Works. So I didn't promote to the rank of diamond until 2.5 years into the business. And that was in October of, I think, 2011. And my upline said I'll quit during all of this time. So I found Denise Walsh. And I contacted her and I basically asked her, like, what does it mean, to promote to diamond? What does all of that mean? And she took about 45 minutes and explained it all to me. And things started happening really quick from there. It kind of made me start believing in the industry. And that was really a missing link for me because, I kind of believed in myself enough to keep doing it. I really believed in the product 100%. But I didn't believe in the industry at all. And I had really no alliance to it or to It Works because I just didn't have that mindset. But once she kind of showed me like what to do, things started happening really fast. So I promoted to diamond that October. I promoted to double diamond that following February of, I guess that would be 2012. And that was when, like, my husband kind of became supportive. We were at the airport, and I opened my first double diamond check, and my mouth dropped. Like, he was looking at me like, what happened? Like, did somebody die, And I'm like, no. Oh, my God, you're not going to believe how much my check is. And he was like, wait, what? What are you doing? What is this? And it was really a moment neither one of us will ever forget when that happened. And then he started getting on me at that point, you need to quit your job. You need to quit your job. You need to quit your job. You need to do It Works full time. And I was scared. I was scared because I was still like not sure about this. So March, April, May came along. May I promoted to triple diamond. And then Denise started on me, you need to quit your job, you need to quit your job. And I'm like, no, I like my job. I worked with my husband, I worked from home, I loved what I did. And I was making $65,000 a year. And to me, that's great money. And even though I was making more with It Works as a triple diamond, I was still scared. It was weird. Like, my mindset told me that job that I had was security, and that this was just kind of something extra. And keep in mind, I was still working like 10, 11 hours a day. And then I was, whatever dinner, I don't even know what I did for dinner. And then I would work until like 1 a.m. on my It Works business, and this went on for quite some time. So finally, November of 2012, I quit my job. And we promoted to presidential diamond the following February or March 2013. And between myself, my husband, my 2 adult children, we had earned about $100,000 in good bonuses by March. So I had well eclipsed that $65,000 a year within the first 3 months of the year. So that was pretty amazing. That company that I worked for ended up going out of business in May. So I would have not had a job. So that kind of says a lot to me about like what really is security, So 2013 was an incredible year for us. My husband was able to stop doing a job he hated doing. He was able to open his own agency. He still works. He still does what he loves and does what he's passionate about. The following July of 2014, I promoted to ambassador. So it took me 5 years to go ambassador. So that's not your typical story nowadays. You see a lot of people kind of go on ambassador really quick, but that wasn't me. It took me a long time. It took me 6 years to get into the Millionaires Club. So I have no regrets about that. I think if you asked anybody on this call, if you worked your tail off for 6 years to make $1 million, most of you would say, yeah, you would do it. I know I would do it, even if it took me 10 years. That's still really great money. So now, 7.5 years later, still loving what I do. Here I am talking to you. And I'm just excited to share my story and see if any of you can relate to that, or is there anybody on here that is not diamond yet and is in the business longer than 2 years? Okay, that's you.
I say my team doesn't have a ton that have been in for 2 years.
That's right, because you're not even
in for just over 2.5. So
yeah.
But there's a lot of people on here that haven't hit diamond yet. And I think that it's so easy for people to think like when the bonuses come out, if you don't hit one of those bonuses, it's so easy to think I'm not going to be successful, or it's so easy to take those blinders off and start comparison. So I love to hear your story and see the difference in the 2.5 years to go diamond and then the 5 years to go ambassador, because it shows people that everybody's stories are so different and it's okay.
Yeah, in fact, I never got a Ruby bonus. We didn't have those when I started. My first bonus that I received was the loyal customer bonus, and that's where you get 60 loyal customers with 3,000 in personal volume, and you get an extra $600 a month. So I've been getting that since 2009, an extra $600 on my check. So I'm pretty proud of that too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Ashley, tell me, your story again. I want my team to hear it because you had a bit of an opposite time frame than I did. So I'm excited for my team to hear that.
So I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure you have people probably right now, probably today, that you've reached out to and they just flat out ignore you. And that's where my story began. I first heard about the business in 2011, and it was kind of a semi-cold market message that I got. I was in a breastfeeding support group that was like an in-person support group. I had a newborn, and a girl approached me, wanted to become my friend on Facebook, and she kind of left it at that. Well, then once I became friends with her on Facebook, she was like, "What?" And she was like, "Come to these parties, come to this opportunity, you should try this." And here I am, a brand new mom, and I'm a full-time cardiac nurse, and we lived in Orlando. And I was like, "You are crazy. You're in a pyramid scheme and you don't really make money, and those products don't work." I mean, I was like, you guys, the biggest skeptic ever. But the funny thing is, she was so consistent with her posting, and she was so consistent with her persistence in following up with me. Then I started seeing some people from high school doing it, and I noticed myself, I never liked or commented on a post whatsoever. I totally was like this stalker in the background that was going every morning, let me go to her page and see what she's doing. Oh, wait, she just bought her husband a boat for Father's Day. Oh, wait, they just paid off a rental property. And it was just I just kept thinking, there's no way this is real. There's no way. And kept watching. And then finally something hit me. I never really even mentioned it to my husband, but we had our second child, my daughter, in November of 2013. And I remember she ended up getting RSV and got admitted to the hospital at just a week old. And then we were home a week later, and I'm sitting there in the middle of the night breastfeeding her, and I'm looking at this student loan account that I have, because we had moved from Florida back to a very, very small town in Missouri, where my family was from, and we took significant pay cuts. And so we were really kind of struggling. It was the middle of winter. We had a propane tank, and my mother-in-law paid a $900 propane bill for us to put propane in our tank so we could heat our house. And so it was kind of a spot we had never been in before. And then credit card debt was piling in, student loan debt was piling in. And I looked at my one student loan account. It was a $10,000 account. And it said, if I kept making my minimum payments, they'd be paid off in 2030. So here I am with a 2-year-old running around and a newborn in my arms, trying to figure out how I can take more than the 6 weeks off of work. And it was a gut punch, guys. And I started to add that math up, and I realized that my daughter, my newborn, would be a senior in high school and my son would be a sophomore in college when 1/3 of my student loans were paid off. And that didn't include credit card debt or car payments or anything else we had going on. So then that was kind of my first like aha moment. And I told my husband about it and we talked and he was like, Ashley, like I'll support you in whatever you want to do, but you totally are like the queen of starting things and then not following through. Like you get bored. And so that's just my kind of personality. I'm kind of like all over the place and I've got to keep the flashy things going or I like get sidetracked. And so I watched for 3 more months after that moment. And I remember what finally made me say yes. I was signing my 2-year-old up for T-ball and I work. So I was already back at night shift nursing at this point. I had a 45-minute commute. I worked full-time at one hospital and part-time in another hospital. So I was working anywhere from 48 to 60 hours a week with that commute with these 2 little babies. And I signed Kate up for T-ball and his games were going to be every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. So I had a set schedule in my full-time job to work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night with a 45-minute commute, having to be clocked in to take a report at 7 o'clock. Therefore, that right there was my first moment of realizing if I don't do something, yes, it's just T-ball. It's not like the end of the world to miss a T-ball game, even though I missed every single one of them. In my reality, that was me thinking, okay, so what's going to happen when he's a sophomore in high school and I'm still not in the bleachers because I'm still trying to pay this stuff off. And that was just my moment that I was like, I got to do this. And so I signed up February 2nd of 2014, and I told my enroller, I said, I'm not posting on Facebook. Those people are annoying. And I was like still like so brainwashed and like so skeptical, but knew how bad I wanted it. And so within that 24-hour period, I was up again in the middle of the night, breastfeeding her, looking at Pinterest, wasting time there. And I came across a quote that said, other people's opinions don't pay your bills. And, you know, other people's opinions were what held me up for 3 years. That's what took me 36 months to say yes to this business. And so that right there was like gasoline on the fire. And I just thought, watch out. And so there was no Ruby bonus at that time, but there was a diamond bonus out. And I looked at a diamond chart and I was like, there's no way I'll get that many people to do this with me. So I just started to focus on Ruby. Ruby was my goal, and I ended up going Ruby in 26 days. I went Ruby at the end of the month. And then after that, I just looked at that diamond chart and, you know, this is the reason we have the Ruby bonus now, because the whole foundation of this business is built on rubies. And I just realized, like, all I got to do, if I can get to Ruby, I just got to teach other people how to get to Ruby. And I ended up going diamond in March and got a $10,000 bonus. And then I just had, like, I am not a green personality by any means. And so I was like, ignorance on fire. They say ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. And so I literally had no idea what I was doing. Just every time I signed somebody, I was like, what do I do with them? And I just kept going. Like, I didn't let my wheels ever stop. So I went diamond in March, double diamond in April, triple diamond in May. So in my first 4 months in the business, I got $50,000 in bonuses. And I remember my aha moment, paycheck wise, because it just, like, I couldn't even catch up with what was going on. It was so crazy. And I was driving on my way to work and I pulled up my paycheck in May 15th. And I didn't even call my husband. I pulled over on the side of the road and I called my mom, like, bawling. I had a $10,000 paycheck. And it just, I was like, this is crazy. This can't be real. But then, you guys, I did something. Like, so one thing I did when I started the business is I pulled out a Ruby chart. And then after my Ruby chart, I pulled out an emerald and a diamond chart. And I just kept filling charts. Well, after I got to triple, there's a presidential chart that the boxes are so small, you can hardly even put names in them. And so I was like, oh, this is really overwhelming. I don't know what to do with this. So I quit charting. And I just, like, went into this, like, mode of, we call it management mode. And I just started, instead of doing what got me there, I started just trying to teach everybody what got me there. But I quit working, as in bringing new people in. And so then I went through this almost like discouraging spot of thinking, like, this is never going to last. Like I didn't promote that next month. And I was so used to promoting every month. I was like, this is crazy. And so I went into kind of a rough spot for a couple of months until I finally was like, what is different? What am I not doing? And then I realized I'm not charting. Like, what do you mean? What are you not doing? You don't have a map. Where do I'm like blindly just like roaming in circles with nowhere to go. And so I went and I took that presidential chart and I blew it up at Staples and I laminated it so it was big boxes and I started charting. And my husband went diamond that December. He went double diamond in January. I went presidential in April, and then it was I went through that same thing after I went presidential. I didn't plot the ambassador chart, and so I didn't have this like roadmap again. And then as soon as I pulled that out and put names on it and had goals of where I was, working towards, when I pulled out my ambassador chart, I looked back at my triple diamond chart to kind of give me reference to fill in names. And I realized on my entire triple diamond chart, there were still 3 people that were running auto shipments, 3 people that were actively working the business. But I never quit. I never quit posting on Facebook. I never quit talking to people about it. I never quit wearing my clothes. You're going to have people in this business that will quit, but their vision, just because they don't see the vision, that's not your vision. And just because they give up on what they're doing because maybe this isn't for them, maybe they don't want to put in the effort, maybe whatever, but you've got to know what your goals and what your dreams are, and you can't quit on yourself. And so I ended up going ambassador this year in March, and it has just been the craziest ride. But one thing that I've always just kept my blinders on and not worried about what anybody else is doing. Like, if you want to run with me, let's run, and we're just going to go and stay focused and stay super positive. And just, I know how much this business has changed our life. So I know how many lives I can change with this business. So that's kind of where we're at now. And it's been so awesome. Like, I cannot imagine my life anywhere else. I did quit my nursing job full time on my daughter's 2nd birthday. And that was something, I was a labor and delivery nurse. I see Kristen Eller is on here, and we were labor and delivery nurses together. And we never thought we would walk away from our nursing careers because it was truly a passion I had. But I realized I was spending more time with everybody else's kids than I was my own kids. So that was where I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm coming home. So that's where we're at.
We have that in common, Ashley. Like, I was, you know how you said I'm not going to post anything when you first started. I was the same way. And frankly, I was embarrassed. I felt like people were going to judge me, or people were going to judge, my husband, because we had a lot of mutual friends. I was like, what are my husband's friends going to think? What is so-and-so going to think? And 2013 really was that year for us where we saw the most growth and the biggest momentum on our team. And that was the year that I had my decision day, really. I had just quit my job that November of 2012, and I started being very vocal on social media about what I was doing in my personal timeline. Prior to that, I had kind of done some ads on my business page and things like that, but I never really crossed the two. So in 2013 really is when I started getting very, very vocal about what I was doing and recognizing my team, on their news feeds. And we were just posting, incredible results pictures and things like that. And I don't know if I saw the same quote that you saw, but I also kind of came to that realization that their opinions aren't paying our bills. Mm-hmm. And, if they don't like it, or if they think, that it's a scheme or whatever, they can unfriend me. Yeah. But I know that there are people out there watching me. And it's true. Even 7.5 years later, my warm market is still messaging me, just kind of random people. And I know that they're not liking or commenting, but I know that they see it. And that consistency it's so important. So important.
Yep, I totally agree. If those girls wouldn't have been consistent, I would have not been stalking. And so you can't ever quit that consistency and I think sometimes it's really hard for people to put themselves out there, especially in the financial aspect of things. People are worried about coming off as that they're bragging or anything. But you guys, you have to look at it as that we're giving hope to people. Sometimes you have to look back to that. If you've made over $500 in a paycheck, if you've made it to Ruby, something I've tried to scale back and just really think about, hone in on that $500, because $500 can change people's lives. It can keep, its statistics show it can keep people out of foreclosure. It can keep people from filing bankruptcy. It can save people from divorce. And so there's so many people out there in your newsfeed. I just looked at it in the beginning as, there might be somebody out there that is struggling to the point where they might just be starting to think about some bills or some extra things that they need to cut. And they might be thinking, well, I need to cut my internet off. And, if you can say, thanks to this business that paid for my internet bill this month, that gives them hope. Like it's just the little things that you don't realize how much people from the outside, they may not look like they're struggling because we didn't look like we were, but from the inside, they may truly be. And then if they're not financially struggling, one thing that I noticed about myself is once I became a mom, I wore so many hats. I'm a mom, I'm a nurse, I'm Jeremiah's wife, but I kind of felt like I lost myself. And this business, I really feel like gave me back me and confidence and just like this zest and excitement for life.
I agree with you. I started this business at 40 years old.
Yeah.
40 years old. Up until then, I was, a softball mom. I was Greg's wife. And I was fine with that. That defined me. And to be honest, that was fine. I was really happy with that and still would be. But I reinvented myself. I am not the same person I was in 2009. And like I said earlier, I never would have thought, that I would be doing this right now. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, what? Are you crazy?
Right.
So anyways, yeah, that's interesting.
So what would you say for somebody that's maybe been in, and not seen like crazy success yet? What would you say is a tip that you would have for them?
Well, I think I have a few things that I wrote down, to share some tips that, first of all, everyone kind of has their own definition of success and, what that is to them. So you want to see success and you want to kind of define exactly what that is. Like, do you have a goal set? Are you seeing progress? Success may just be progress. That might mean that you're getting 5 more messages a week than you did when you started, or maybe you're seeing your own personal results as progress. You can use that to kind of build upon your business. Maybe that progress is your mindset, what you're learning, how you're improving your skill set. So kind of really look at like what success is, and if it's just only a dollar amount, like if you're only driven by I have to make this much money, while that is how we all get started typically, sometimes that may come off as desperate or negative to people. It may give off this negative energy and you may not even realize it. But I think if you just kind of think back and kind of look at your habits. What are you doing each day? What activities are you doing every day to build your business? Are you really consistent with it? You and, all of us, me, you, we know what we do. We know how hard of an effort we put in. I know that I have days where I'm like, oh, I could have done way more today. Today was just not my best day. Usually that starts with my mindset, and being in this 7.5 years, you guys, we get in a lot of funks. It happens no matter what your rank is. The business isn't always booming. We have, good days, bad days, great days with teams, bad days with teams. We have amazing leaders and then leaders that leave, and all this kind of stuff happens as it does in any business. as a business owner and entrepreneur, you have to kind of learn how to handle that and how to handle like what's happening in here. Because the easy thing to do is to quit because it's hard. So really kind of sit back and think like, what really is that success going to be? And what is that vision of yourself? Where do you see yourself when you can say, yes, I succeeded? Is that a ruby? Is that a diamond? And visualize like that moment when that happens. And then you got to think like, well, what happened before that? How did I get to that point? What did I have to do, to make that happen? And if you're wanting to promote to Ruby, and if that's your first kind of success, checkpoint, what is going to have to happen before that? What would have had to have just happened before you went Ruby? How many people do you need on your team? How many people do you need to talk to? If you think about network marketing, if you're really as strong as your network, really that has to grow. It has to grow daily. Every single day you need to be adding new people. You need to be vigilant about doing that. And then we're in a relationship business. I said earlier, if you're only into it to get a check out of this, you may in fact get a check, but I think long term, to sustain it and to really grow it into something that's going to really give you that residual income instead of just kind of that quick cash, you have to build relationships with people, and you have to find a way to add a value, to their life, and find a way to help them get what they want, whether that's like in health or wellness. So, if you feel like you're not seeing that success that maybe you had hoped for, maybe kind of take a step back and redefine exactly what is that success, and you might want to kind of rewrite what that goal is for you. Maybe do shorter term goals than kind of just like one big one. I don't know, I hope that helps.
Awesome. I think that's great. I think for me, one of the big things whenever I started as I got on, I've always been one to plug in from the very beginning. I went to a 1 Team 1 Mission 2 days into the business, and I got on all the calls and still get on all the calls, but those kind of things filled my cup up. But I remember one of the first Monday night, I think it was a Monday night call, and we were listening to the Show Me the Money call, and somebody was talking about dream boards, and Pam just really went into dream boards. And, at that time, I felt like it was really hard for me to dream big. And they say, like, if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. But for me, it was like I had goals. I felt like more than dreams. To pay off those student loans, to pay off credit card debt, to pay off my car, and just really get us in a better financial situation. But I knew that I didn't even really know, other than the fact of looking at that one that told me it was going to be 2030 before it was paid off. I didn't even know really how much debt we had, because it was scary to me to even know the number. And so I made myself sit down and I looked at every single one of those bills and I wrote it down to the penny. And then the only other thing that I put on there is that I wanted to pay for my kids I wanted to take our family to Disney on cash. And so I wrote, I took this huge mirror and I chalkboard painted it and I put it in our laundry room, and I wrote every single, like, van, 30,000, whatever, 41 cents. And I did it with every single bill. So that way, the days that I wanted to quit, the days that I wanted to throw in the towel, the days that I wanted to go to bed at 8 o'clock when my kids went to bed, the days that I didn't feel like talking to anybody, I could look at that, and that was my reminder of why I was doing this. Like, I was doing this for my family. But I can tell you guys one other thing that really helped with that. I talk to so many people that say, like, oh, my husband's not supportive, or my wife's not supportive, or my mom thinks I'm crazy. And the nice part about having that is Jeremiah also had to walk past that board every single day. And so I feel like it showed him the reason that I had my phone in my hand, in the living room when we used to watch The Bachelorette or Chicago Fire, and I'm like this. And it showed him, like, I'm not doing this just because I am dying to be plugged into social media 24 hours a day. Like, I'm doing this because I'm trying to save our family. And that's what gave me this this vision of like, that's why I'm working so hard. That's why I'm, pushing. That's why I'm staying up late and getting up early and doing things that were kind of outside of the norm for me. And, that was what drove me. But then something else that I feel like is so, so crucial in this business. When I started out, I hadn't tried a single product. I I saw the vision in the business, but I didn't know anything really about the products. I wanted to try the greens. But I think that was one of the biggest things for me, was to start using products and start falling in love with the products. And you guys, I was probably, honestly, I think it was the summer. So it was like 6 months in before I did a full treatment of wraps. And so like I could sell greens and hair, skin, and nails like this, but wraps I couldn't, because I didn't believe in the wraps, because I hadn't seen them work on me, because I had used like one wrap at a time and then I would never keep going. Once I used a full treatment of wraps, and I'm one of those people, it took me 3 wraps to start to see a difference, and then 4 was dramatic. And so many people, even our customers, sometimes use one wrap and they don't see a difference and they throw them in the closet. So we have got to be so diligent about talking to our customers and making sure they're getting what they want out of their products, but also that we're using our products. I think that was key on my social media feed, that I wasn't taking generic pictures from, screenshotting a bottle of Relief from the E-Suite and posting that and saying like, oh, do you have joint pain? Like, I was figuring out a way to always have my face in the picture, showing like, oh, we're eating pizza tonight and here's my fat fighter sitting right here. Geez, I'm cheating. And like, I never made it a commercial. I always showed how this business was part of my life and part of, we just incorporated it into our lives. But from the get-go, I also got a shirt, and I only had one, and I wore it all the time. Like, people probably didn't want to be around me, but I wore my shirt all the time, and I just made sure people, like, you're your own brand. So you've got to brand yourself, because you want people to look at you and be like, that's the It Works girl. I know who she is. And so I've just been always, even if it's a picture that has nothing to do with It Works, I have my bracelets on, and they are always like somehow like subliminally in the messages. If I take a picture in the kitchen of, my kids coloring or something, you're still going to see my greens on the counter in the background. Like, it's always these like subliminal messages, I feel like. So people, it's always incorporated into our life. And I just think it's so important. People want to see you. They don't want to see advertisements. I always correlate it back to having DVR now, that we can skip commercials. So people will do the same thing with your social media if you're just a giant commercial. So you got to keep it personal and keep your family in there. Keep your, even if it feels silly, like you're going out for a walk on your lunch break, take a selfie and talk about how pretty the weather is. Like, whatever it is, keep it personal. People want to see you, and that's why they follow you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important too, when you're posting, to have, like, even with what you're saying too, like, if you're constantly like, message me, ask me,
join me.
Yeah, it's kind of leaves like a negative, I think. Sometimes people might be like, I'm going to get that, but I'm not going to get it from her because I hate that she's always telling me to buy it. You know what I mean? So I think that when you're posting stuff, like, really find a way to express some type of emotion in what you're posting, because that emotion, if people can feel that emotion, that's going to drive them to do something about it. The same way that Ashley finally, after seeing her friend all this time, contacted her, and there was something that kind of hit her in her heart. And that could be, the products. Like, if you're talking about the products, talk about like what it does for you, what it's done for a customer of yours, what it's done for a teammate of yours, because that connection, if you can find someone at that moment where they're like, oh my God, I'm just so tired of always being so tired. What is that green stuff? That's where you really want to kind of connect with them in their heart, because people kind of shop, from their heart a lot too. You know what I mean? You just kind of get that like impulsive by sometimes. So, really try to find a way to express that emotion in what you're saying. I think that will help too.
I totally agree. Okay, so so you kind of already said that like one of your aha moments was getting that double diamond check. Can you think of another specific aha moment you've had in the business?
Yes. So really, I talked earlier about I believed in the product right away. I kind of believed in myself, somewhat enough. I believed in myself enough. And then, I definitely had that belief in the company. That was really, really strong for me. After I attended a conference and, met our leadership and heard them and saw them in person and all of that, that really kind of just like, I was all about the company. I wasn't just with It Works, It Works is in me. It was my lifestyle. But I still didn't believe in myself as much as I could. I still would look at our top earners in the company. I would look at Melody. I would look at, Denise and Lori, the Conways and the Dunns. And I would look at all of these people and I would think, well, that's just them. That, they got in, they knew people, they had secrets, they did, that I would never be able to do that. I mean, that's cool that they're there, but that's just not me. I would never be part of that group. And that I still kind of had this little bit of like a wall to where I was like happy with where I was at because it was more money than I had ever made in my entire life. And my team was doing really good. We were thriving. We were having a great time. But I kind of had like a ceiling up on myself in a way. And it was the summer of 2013. It just actually popped up on my Facebook timeline. So I just thought about it today, and I thought I wanted to talk about that with you today. They had a contest for the top 20 income earners in the company. At Dash, we're going to get like this VIP treatment, a special suite, a trip on a yacht with Mark. And this contest was running a month long. It was a month-long contest. The entire time I was seeing people talking about it, but I was like, well, that's cool, but I'll never be on there. So for whatever reason, on the last day of the month, I just had this moment where I was like, why not me? Like, what is it about them that makes it so special for them that they can be a part of that? Why can't I be a part of that? Like, why not me? That day, Ashley, I messaged, I wish I would have been diligent about like the numbers, but I'm telling you, I messaged more people than I had ever messaged in my entire career with It Works. And I got more loyal customers in that day than, my entire every day. It was a record-breaking day for me other than a BOGO day. And I just decided that morning, like, I might be, what if I'm like $100 away? I could be $10,000 away, but what if I'm $100 away? Mm-hmm. What if I'm $20 away from making the top 20? I had no idea. I mean, this was before we all kind of had an idea about averages and stuff like that. So I really had no idea. I was going into it completely blind, maybe 100, maybe 1,000, maybe 10, I don't know, but I'm going for it. And my husband and I left to Europe shortly after that. And we're sitting in Europe. We went to a wedding, and we're out late, and I'm asleep. And Greg wakes up, and he's looking at his phone on Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, you made the top 20?" And I woke up, and I'm like, "No, I didn't make it." And he goes, "No, you made it." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, Pam Souter just tagged you on a post on Facebook." And so I wake up, I'm like, what? I made it, because we were like in a different time zone over there. So I didn't hear the Sunday night corporate call, and that's where they announced it. Uh-huh. And I actually tied for number 20.
That's awesome.
And that was the biggest aha for me because I had kind of this wall up, like I'm not good enough to be that. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I eclipsed that and kind of got into that group, so to speak, I learned like, oh my gosh, these people are so normal.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, bankers and teachers and real estate agents, moms, hot messes, like everybody's just kind of their own crazy person. And all that kind of stigma and smoke and mirrors and stuff that I was like afraid of, it's not there. It's
Right.
just normal people, and everybody's really just doing, what they say they're doing. Everybody's honest and friendly, and it's an amazing group. And that group continues to change. Every year. It's like, you coming in, for example, so new into the company, people are coming in a year and a half in and making it into that group. So, I mean, why not anybody?
Right.
If not me, why not anybody, get in there? It's definitely possible. So that was, I think, my other big aha for sure.
Right. I think we're the only ones that put the ceiling on ourselves. We clip our own wings, and until you decide that you're ready to break down walls, and I love it because Pam Sauter says it best, you've got to get over yourself. You're the only person holding you back, and whatever that may be that's holding you back, fear or whatever it is, you've got to move past that, and you've got to face it head on and run towards it. And I think you will blow your own mind. One thing that kind of goes along with your aha moment kind of goes along with mine. I remember sitting at my second green carpet, and that was at the one in Bradenton, and it was like stadium seating. So we had seats on the floor where all of VIP, Triple Diamond, Presidential, and Ambassadors were sitting, and then they had the general admission seating.
Yep.
And Mark came out and he pointed to everybody in general admission, and he said, the only difference between you all in general admission and those of them in VIP is just that they've asked more people. And that's the bottom line. Like, that's all it is that Joel and Stephanie Dunn are the number one income earners in the company, and they are Black Diamonds because they talk to more people than anybody else. I mean, that's this business, like Barbara said, is all about relationships and networking and getting out and meeting new people. And, the more people you talk to, the more yeses you're going to get. And I think, we've got to look at a no as a no, not right now. It's not ever a no in my mind unless they like block me and write me off. But I just think that it's so important to know if your mouth isn't open, then your business isn't open. So you just have to talk to more people. And that was like a huge aha moment to me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've got to stop what I'm doing in this track where I'm stuck at Triple Diamond, and I got to get over myself because here I'm in a pity party wallowing around in it, and I just need to talk to more people. And so I think that that's so huge whenever you're starting out, to just know that you just got to get out there and you got to talk to people. Posting on social media isn't asking. And most of the time, people aren't going to flock to you and beg you to sign them up, especially with distributors. I feel like we have to believe in people before they believe in themselves. So you need to go out and talk to them and offer them the opportunity. There's one of my girls is probably on here tonight, but she signed 20 loyal customers last month, but she was on like number 17. And I was like, are you offering the opportunity to people? She's like, no. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have to offer the opportunity. And so like, that's something I've done from the beginning and just said like, okay, here's your options. We've got hair, skin, and nails for $33 as a loyal customer, or as a distributor, you can get it for $33 and you can make money with me. Which one do you want to do? Mm-hmm. And, even if they say, oh, I just want to try the products for now, you've at least planted that seed. So that way you can water it on their second month and, say like, are you loving your hair, skin, and nails? I so think you should do this with me. Imagine all your friends that would want it. And I think so many times we have to believe in people before they believe in themselves. And just, you've got to talk to people. You have to open your mouth. Otherwise, I just feel like it's those ugly gates at the mall that are down like before a store opens. Yeah. And if you don't have your gate up, people don't even know you're in business.
Yeah, for sure. So Ashley, you just promoted to ambassador, and was it like April?
Yep, or March. Yep.
Okay. So I remember before I promoted, it was just crazy, so incredibly crazy. And, I'm sure that we could share stories about that. So now we have our good bonus back, which I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, me either.
So what do you say now to the people that are, maybe almost at an emerald level or almost at a diamond level and they're going for that bonus? What advice would you give them right now? Because it's October 4th, so we have like 27 days or something like that left. So every single day matters. So what should people be doing right now?
I mean, honestly, for me, we were such a TV couple and we loved to sit down and watch TV, but I just had to think, I think it was Mike Patillo said one time that put your goal, so if your goal's ruby or your goal's emerald, write it on a sticky note and stick it on your TV. So every time you want to turn that TV on, you've got to move your dream or your goal out of the way. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. And so, I mean, it really is like, you just got to be focused. You got to know your goal. You got to stay plugged in with the people that, on that chart that are going, for those ranks with you. And plugging in with them, I think, is one of the key things, and knowing what you guys are doing, hold each other accountable. For me, it was huge to have a list the night before of the things I needed to get accomplished the next day. I'm a big list person. Even if I finish something that's on my list, I still want to write it on there so I can check it off. And so if I said, I'm going to follow up with 50 people tomorrow, I'm going to, add 20 new friends on Facebook. Like, I felt like I had to get those things done before I could go to bed. But one thing that I feel like is huge with our business right now that you can take access to is, one, the voice messaging option on Facebook messaging. I try to talk to everybody, any potentials. One, I'm on the go all the time. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And so I feel like even if they hear the utter chaos that's going on in the background, they know that I'm a normal person and that I'm still doing life. But it also shows your excitement, and it shows that you're genuine and that you're taking the time to talk to them. So I'm not a big phone person. So this is like, your way that you can hit it and you have a minute to talk, and then you can let it go, and they can either talk. I always tell them you can talk back or type back. Don't feel obligated to talk if you're not comfortable with that. But I use that a lot. But also, I have been doing a ton of live videos. They don't even have to necessarily be about It Works, but that will up your engagement. Facebook has an algorithm of how people see you and whose feed you get to go into. So with live videos, that's people plug in, and I try to keep them like today. I think mine said, "Isn't that interesting?" or "Life's interesting." So it's not like, "Hey, have you tried that crazy rap thing?" Where they know what I'm going to talk about. I just try to keep it kind of vague what the title is, and then I can talk about and I'm so thankful that this business came into my life because, I had this or this, you know what I mean? So I feel like the more genuine and vulnerable with your before and after pictures and with just talking about, people relate more to our struggles than they do to our successes. So don't be scared to share struggles. Don't be scared to talk about what's happened in your life. You may not totally have a story with It Works yet, but you have a future. So you can talk about, because of this business, what is going to happen for you. And so I just think it is literally buckling down, having a plan. I've had girls on my team that literally have had their husbands make those, remember in elementary school before we would get out for Christmas break, you'd make those paper rings. And so I've had girls that were going for a diamond promotion and still needed 12 distributors, and she had her husband make one of those links for her so they could literally celebrate every night. And he didn't want to go to bed at night until she could cut a link off. And so I just think knowing what you need, making sure your team knows what they need, and you guys just going into it being so excited and talking about what you're going to do. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can hit whatever your goal you're going for. I think was it Lori Bose that went diamond in 9 days?
Boser.
Barb Hauser. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's just insane, but anything is possible. So I just think that you have to believe it can happen. And you have to, anytime those negative thoughts are coming in, you just literally have to shut them down and stay so laser focused with your chart and just set numbers for yourself. Like, I've got to talk to this many people today. I have got to, don't get too focused in like training your team, but bring them with you. You've got to lead from the front and say, like, don't say, go do this. Say, come on, we're doing this. And you've got to lead people. Mm-hmm. What would you say?
So I agree with everything that you said, so I won't repeat that. I think to add to what you said, utilize what you already have. Those of you that already have a team, you already have some customers, go into your eSuite and get on the tree view and figure out every single person in your chart, every single 400 box, and get yourself, you don't already have a paper calendar is always good, something you can write down in where every single day you can look at it. I use a daily planner as well, and click on all of those people that you are expecting those orders to process, and every single day write down like whose orders are going to process, what ID numbers are going to process, what are they ordering. Check to make sure their credit cards don't decline. If they have perks points, say like, hey, did you know you have a $10 perks point credit, and maybe encourage them to make a purchase like after their auto ship has run. So utilize what you already have. Make sure that there aren't any people sitting in there that you haven't communicated with, that you haven't contacted with. If you're going for, Ruby or Emerald or Diamond, whatever that promotion is, I remember when I was going for my ambassador promotion, there's like all these boxes that you have to have filled in. All those people should know like what's going on and be a part of it. So I think, Ashley, you kind of gave me this idea too last year at Dash to make like a little group message on Facebook with that little cluster of 5 people that is within that Ruby to and the leaders in that Ruby spot really need to know like what's going on and what they need also to kind of see their promotion happening. That ownership and that accountability is going to be so important. Communicating every day, like, hey, how's it going with that potential? Should we meet for coffee? Should we do a 3-way call? And then I think the other thing I'll add that helped me because I needed it at this time. Before going ambassador, I had my double diamond leg. Something happened in compliance and they almost got their account canceled. I mean, you name it, I went through it at that time. Our dog passed away on the 25th of the month while we were at Green Carpet. At any day of the month, I was just like, oh, forget it. It's not happening. That I really visualized that moment of, what was happening when I saw, the eSuite update, what was going to happen when Mark handed me the mic up on stage. Would there be music playing when I walked up there? What would I say? Like, who were the first people I was going to thank? What's going to happen with my team when this girl goes triple and when this girl, what are those emotions going to be like? And I just visualized that every single day. And that was kind of what kept me going, is kind of seeing like all of the activity happening on my team, because it was such an enormous group effort for that to happen, because it's not going to be easy. But oh my gosh, it's going to be so worth it. So I would just say, like, get started yesterday. Like, don't wait. And I guess that would take us into the last question, right? Like, what would I have done differently at the beginning? Mm-hmm. I'll answer that because it's just like, just don't wait, you guys. Like, I waited 2.5 years before I really, really, really started to believe in this. I mean, don't wait. Like, I get people that are like, oh, I have to read all the policies and I have to, know everything about everything about everything. Don't do that. Learn as you go. Learn when you're doing something. That's how you're going to learn. You're going to host a party, you're going to bomb, you're going to fail, nobody's going to show up, you're going to say the wrong things, you're going to wear the wrong outfit, your feet are going to hurt, you're going to wrap somebody, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be, things are going to go wrong, but that's where you really grow. Mm-hmm. You have to fail in order, to grow from there. And you have to kind of learn how to accept that failure and be like, okay, that sucked. Never doing that again. Just don't wait for like everything to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to know everything. Just start working this business. Like every day that you aren't working this business, other people are. And other people are signing up, and they're not signing up under you because you're sitting around waiting and watching. You know what I mean? So you have 27 days left, 26 days left in October. Oh my God, get started. Get started now. Like you get off this call, it's late. If you haven't updated your hundreds list, if you don't have a current a calendar for the month of October with income producing activities every single day, if you haven't booked parties for this month, you need to do that tonight. Like you need to get your stuff organized tonight. Because every single day matters. Like, don't be like me on the last day of the month in August of 2013 or whenever it was, trying to win that contest. Like, imagine if I would have done that in the beginning of the month, I maybe would have been like number 5 money earner. Who knows what I could have made happen at that time. So don't wait to start your business. Just believe in yourself, believe in the products, believe that the company is doing the right thing for you. And why not you? I mean, you got to go for that.
I totally agree. And I don't know if can you guys hear me? Because I'm frozen on my screen. Okay. I don't know if I'm frozen for you guys, but I just think that you just got to go out and you've got to tackle it. Take no time to wait. And like Barbara said, if you're not asking them, somebody else is. And I watched that happen in my business. I watched people that were on my hundreds list, but I had like, out of my hundreds list, probably a quarter of it was more like a chickens list. And it was people that I wanted to ask, but I was too scared of what they would say. I thought that they would think I was crazy. I thought, that they wouldn't need it. And, I started to watch that chicken list become distributors and not on my team. And that hurt. So if you're not asking them, somebody else is going to. And the way that, you just got to be so proud of what you have your hands on and realize how much hope you can provide somebody, that I just had to start looking at the cashier at Old Navy or the cashier at the grocery store thinking, gosh, what if I walk away from her and she's the next Ashley Sinclair that goes ambassador in 7 months, and I didn't offer it to her. So you have to realize what you have your hands on. You are not somebody that is going to be annoying to them when you have the potential to change their life. So be proud of what you have, and then you just got to get out there and talk to people with your chicken list or your hundreds list. I mean, you can even put it off on your upline and say, hey, this may seem really crazy, but, I've watched you, we've been friends since high school. You had a great personality then. And, my sponsor in this business challenged me to message some of the people that I just literally wanted on my dream team, and you are one of them. So you can even put it off on somebody that you were challenged to do it, but you've got to send the messages. You've got to do the talking. And guys, this business
that's a huge compliment to somebody.
Yeah.
Like to be complimented. We don't do that enough. So that's an amazing thing to say to somebody. Even if they say no, they're going to be thinking about that forever.
You just planted that seed.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, Barbara, thank you so much for doing this with us. I wish I wasn't frozen.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so happy to do it. So happy to see my team on here and see everyone's new faces. And I hope that something that we said kind of connected with some of you. Maybe it's the missing piece of a puzzle that you're trying to figure out, that I think the last tip I'll give you is, we're announcing the $10,000 winners over the next
Saturday.
Next Saturday, right? So when that happens, be really loud about that on social media, even if you don't win. Just take the pictures and the screenshots and post like, super excited for my sideline sister just won $10,000. I mean, that shows that people are making money. It shows credibility. It shows, that things are possible. Like, oh my gosh, what if I would have signed up 2 months ago? Maybe I would have won that 10,000. I mean, that kind of connects with people's emotions. When they see people winning life-changing money. I mean, that is life-changing money. So be really, 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 really vocal about that on social media. And on October 16th, be ready to buy your conference ticket. You guys, be ready to buy your conference ticket. We're getting 3 wrap rewards. When you purchase the early bird, you can sell those, make your money back. Just find a way to make it happen. Buy your ticket, worry about the how and everything else later. Just get your ticket so your butt is in that seat, because you want to be there to feel that energy, because that will take your business to a whole nother level. So
yeah, I totally 100% agree with that. Conference, any of those big corporate events will completely change your business, because you will see the true heart of this company and the people that are running it, and you will just fall head over heels in love with this company. So I 100% agree with that. Awesome. Thank you so much again. You guys, thanks for getting on. Barbara's team, thanks for getting on.
Thank you.
bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Night.